Welcome to the Improve81 podcast series. I'm Ken Slack, Communications Coordinator for the Interstate 81 Corridor Improvement Program. Today we're focusing on the planned widening of I-81 in Augusta County near Staunton, about mile marker 221 to 225. With me today are I-81 Program Delivery Director Dave Covington, Bridge Engineer Gene Ewell from the VDOT Staunton District, as well as Augusta County Administrator Tim Fitzgerald. Tim, let's start with you. This interstate runs right through the heart of your county. It's a key piece of infrastructure there, to be sure. Tell us why I-81 is so important to Augusta County.
Well, thank you, Ken. I appreciate the invite to be here for the podcast. I-81 is an essential part of the economic lifeblood of Augusta County. It's instrumental when we go to attract new businesses, new employers to the county. Augusta County sits about right in the middle of the I-81 corridor. I think that's important so that our manufacturers are easily able to move product north and south, connect to major thoroughfares east and west. It also parallels the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is important to us because it brings in visitors every day. It's important to the vibrancy in regards to tourism in our area. And as you said, Ken, I-81 runs right through the heart of our county, and our residents use 81 a lot for commuting to work and for school, for recreation. So I-81 is really a lifeblood for us in Augusta County.
Thank you. Dave, give us an overview of what this widening project is all about, the one right through Augusta County in the Staunton area.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kind of break it down into components. So first we have an addition of one lane in the northbound direction of I-81 from Route 250, which is Jefferson Highway, the on-ramp that comes on to 81 northbound. That's where the project will start. That's exit 222. And it will extend north all the way to the Route 262 or Woodrow Wilson Parkway interchange. So we will tie into the off-ramp at exit 225. So our southbound widening extends a little bit further south than the northbound widening does. And we'll extend approximately 1,200 feet south of the I-81 flyover bridge. So this is the bridge that goes over I-81 to 64 westbound to I-81 southbound bridge, extend about 1,200 feet south of that location. It also includes a lot of bridge evaluation work. We'll be evaluating each of the bridges that exist along this section of interstate for decisions on full replacement or widening and rehabilitation. And there are 5 I-81 bridges associated with the project. And then we also have one overpass bridge. That's Route 254, New Hope Road. It's not an interchange. It's just an overpass bridge. But we do need to evaluate that to make sure that we meet all the requirements, most specifically vertical clearance over I-81. But then also, can we fit the lanes, through that bridge? That's something that has been evaluated and is continuing to be under evaluation. Regarding the widening, the vast majority of the widening will occur within the median area to make use of existing right-of-way and to also utilize the existing pavement to the greatest extent possible. And I mentioned this many times in our podcasts and our videos about these projects, is that really one of our objectives is to minimize our footprint. Let's use what we have available, not only from an environmental perspective, but also from a cost perspective as well. And then lastly, we will maintain or enhance the operational safety of this section of the corridor by improving some of the signs along the corridor, as well as the pavement markings, making those more visible.
Now, Dave has touched a little bit on the bridges that are involved in this section of I-81, but Gene, I'm going to let you go into more of the details because that is your area of expertise. So tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening as far as the bridges on the main line as well as the overpasses along this project area.
Sure, Ken. I'd be happy to. This project widens and replaces the decks for 5 bridges in the range of mile markers 221 to 225 on Interstate 81. Each one of these bridges has a unique set of key issues that are considered when developing widening and deck replacement solutions. The most northern 2 in this area are over Lewis Creek, near mile marker 225. At this location, both the north and the southbound bridges are pre-stressed concrete girder spans. The remaining 3 bridges to be widened and have deck replacements are southbound steel girder spans over Route 250, also known as Richmond Avenue, over Augusta Woods Drive and the Buckingham Branch Railroad, and southbound ramp connecting Interstate 64 eastbound. The existing bridge decks will be removed on all 5 bridges, and the concrete or steel girders will be repaired as needed. Additional girders and substructure will be added for widening. Then new concrete decks will be placed. The northbound bridges of Route 250 and Augusta Woods Drive will not be widened at this time. The funding limit and the operational issues involved make it prohibitive. So the 250 interchange would need to be reconfigured. Those bridges are for future construction.
And can I add something here? And I think Gene makes a really important point here. That area in the northbound direction between I-64 and Route 250 is very small. So people who are exiting I-64 to take northbound 81, there's an auxiliary lane there. And an auxiliary lane, as we've talked about before, basically connects 2 interchanges. So there's effectively a 3rd lane there from a capacity perspective, even though it exits off onto 250. But when we looked at this, and we looked at it rather extensively, in order to resolve all that so that we could have a true full 3-lane section through there, probably plus that auxiliary lane, the impacts to that area on Route 250 and those interchange ramps would be rather extensive. So we've decided to start that widening on the entrance ramp from 250 onto northbound 81.
When you make an important point, both of you, there's a lot going on in a relatively small area, and that is part of the decision, I think, that went into replace versus widen. I mean, because we are talking about bridges that are original to I-81, approaching 60 or so years old. So tell us more about those decisions about, the condition of those bridges that's allowing us to do this.
Sure. At VDOT, we follow a rigorous process outlined in our manual of structure and bridge regarding widening or replacing bridges. There are performance measures, and as mentioned before, every bridge is unique. Every bridge is rated by inspection of its deck, supporting superstructure, and substructure. The deck concrete was analyzed for chloride infiltration and corrosion of reinforcing steel. The overall condition of the structure and other factors are also considered, but once all the information and data is gathered, a life cycle cost analysis is completed, and final recommendations to either fully replace or rehabilitate are generated.
Now, a lot of this bridge work that you're talking about is going to be taking place, as we mentioned, in a pretty busy area. Tim was talking earlier about the importance of I-81 to Augusta County, but it's not just 81 here. We're talking about Interstate 64 that, runs to the east all the way, to Richmond and Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area. Route 250, another major east-west corridor for Augusta County and points beyond. And I'm sure, Tim, that you would like to make sure that traffic keeps moving on all of these roadways. So tell us a little bit about how we're going to be maintaining traffic during construction.
Yes, maintaining traffic flow takes a lot of careful thought and planning. The old structure typically continues to carry 2 lanes of live traffic with partial demolition, while the other portion of the old structure receives new girders for widening and new deck. Then the lanes of live traffic are moved to the newly constructed portion, while the old deck is demolished and the remainder of the new structure is completed. Bridge designers refer to this as staged or phased construction. The busy area of mile markers 221 to 225 is particularly challenging. The I-64 ramp onto southbound 81 has limited width availability and presents clearance issues. The design will make the most out of the space we have available. At the bridge where I-81 crosses over 250, the ramp from 250 on to 81 must remain open to live traffic during construction. This requires coordination with VDOT's traffic engineering section to keep traffic flowing while providing a quality structure that will have a long service life.
Thank you, Gene. I do want to point out that in 2021, VDOT hosted a citizen information meeting with a lot of information about this project. So Dave, tell us, has anything changed since we first brought these plans to the public?
Yeah, so since we had the citizens information meeting last year, the design has continued to progress, but the real major elements of the design have not changed. We're widening to the median to the greatest extent that we can and making use of that available space and the termini, so the ends of the projects really haven't changed. But there has been one big change, and that is the delivery method. So we've decided to deliver this project as a design build project rather than a design bid build project. And I'll kind of go over what those differences are really quickly so that people know what the benefits are. So our traditional process is a design bid build project where we design the project completely. And we finish that process, and then we go out and we acquire right-of-way, and we relocate utilities, and then we advertise a construction contract and award that contract to a contractor who will then build the project. The difference here is that in a design build, which is the direction that we've decided to go with this project, much earlier in the process, before we ever complete the design, we put out a solicitation for a competitive process to select a team of engineers and builders to come in and finish the design and acquire the right-of-way and relocate the utilities and perform the construction. So what this is doing is, instead of this being a sequential process, we have phases that overlap. So the design and the utility relocation and right-of-way and portions of construction sometimes can occur simultaneously. So this really gives us the benefit of being able to get to construction more quickly and then also finish that construction more quickly. And one of the important elements, we've talked about the location of I-64 and Route 250 and how close they are and how complicated that section of the project is. We can benefit from having a builder help to influence the design so that we're not designing something that, we might award a contract to a contractor down the road, and then they come in and say, well, we really can't build it the way you design it. We want to make all these changes. We want to know that up front so that we can get that out of the way. We can work closely with a builder so that we are collectively, in a partnership, developing a design that they can build efficiently. So it saves time, it saves money. Is it always the right solution? No, but we've determined that in this case, this is a benefit to the project.
Now, you talked about some overlapping of the phases of the project. So tell us a little bit about what that schedule is going to look like in the years to come, and also about the cost of this project.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. So we start off a design build project with what we call a request for qualifications. And what this is doing is sending a message to the industry to put together your teams. Remember, there's a lot of members of these teams. We have engineers, we have, right-of-way appraisers, a whole host of different services. And that request for qualifications tells them, put your team together. We want to see what your team is like. We want to see, what your team is capable of doing. And from that, we are able to create what we call a short list, which is a smaller group, maybe like 3 of those offerers that submit. So the request for qualifications, we are anticipating putting that out to industry later this spring. And we follow up after we've made that short list. We've evaluated their proposals. We've identified the roughly 3 or 4 teams that we think would do a very good job. And then we issue them a request for proposals. And this is where we get into a very detailed proposal from each of the offerers or the teams, the design build teams, that give us, what does their proposed design look like? What's the cost of that, obviously? What's their schedule? What benefit do they give us compared to the other teams? So each team comes forward with their specific expertise and benefit, and then we evaluate all of that in a competitive environment. Another thing that design build allows us to do is to provide some scoring weight to their technical approach to the project. So it's not just a low bid. We're actually considering what other benefits the team might be bringing to the department. So that request for proposals is planned to go out late summer or early fall of this year. And with that being said, I mentioned previously that sometimes we can expedite or get to that begin construction phase a little more quickly. What we're looking at right now is construction potentially beginning by fall or winter of 2023. So we think that we are able to move the construction up about a year, which also means that we can complete it about a year early. And for this project, we're looking at completion in probably summer of 2027 at this point. So about a 3.5-year construction period. Now, with regard to the cost, our latest cost estimate, and this is continually refined throughout our project development process, but we're looking at a total cost of about $173 million for this project, plus or minus.
Significant investment, and certainly not the only one that's happening in Augusta County. Tim, in addition to this widening that we've been talking about, the I-81 Corridor Improvement Program also has some ramp extensions that were recently completed at several interchanges in Augusta County, Greenville and Staunton areas in particular. The near future also includes a new auxiliary lane that I think we've touched on briefly that's just south of this project. And also some significant truck climbing lanes and interchange improvements in the Weir's Cave area. Does that all sound good to you?
That's really great for Augusta County. I tell you, Ken, one of the reasons why folks want to live and work and come visit Augusta County is for its natural beauty. And with that comes some scenic hills and some rolling terrain, and that makes traffic a challenge sometimes, and for trucks a real challenge, and some safety consideration. And we know we have that in the Weir's Cave area. So these truck climbing lanes will really help allow that to the traffic to speed up there, to have some room for trucks to move to the side, to allow for vehicular traffic to go through, and hopefully be able to keep that steady flow of traffic through that Weir's Cave area. I will say Weir's Cave is an important area for the county. It's an urban development area for us. It's where we want to see growth, both in residential and industrial growth there. It's also home to our Blue Ridge Community College. It's also home to the Shenandoah Valley Airport, which is very important in regards to commerce for the county. So having traffic to be able to move through that Weir's Cave area smoothly and easily without the opportunity for issues with backups and so forth it will be really helpful for us in Augusta County and the region as a whole.
As you mentioned, I mean, Augusta County's proximity of roughly halfway along the corridor, right there at 81 and 64, it's a big selling point for you.
Absolutely. It's always a selling point for us as we look at future economic growth. Folks, they want to know how they can get their product out, and we're in a key location to where we can be in a lot of places quickly for manufacturers, and the latest are distribution centers. They're entertaining coming to our county because of that. So it's an important project for Augusta County, and I know for VDOT to get this moving. And I'm glad to hear Dave say that we can possibly move it up a year. That's good news for us.
Looking forward to the project construction. Of course, there is a period of time where we will have some potential for construction-related congestion during that time. But when it's all finished, a much easier portion of the I-81 corridor for folks to navigate through. So, Tim Fitzgerald, Dave Covington, Gene Ewell, I would like to thank all three of you for joining us and helping us take a closer look at the I-81 widening project in the Staunton area. I also would like to thank our listeners for joining this episode of the Improve81 podcast series. You can listen to all of our podcasts as well as view our videos, find all sorts of information about the I-81 construction and operations projects simply by visiting Improve81.org. There's all kinds of helpful maps, documents, resources, and contact information in case you have questions about the program or just need to talk to somebody about what's happening. And as always, we wish you safe travels.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.